Hey everybody, Chef Stu back in the kitchen again, bringing you another easy, simple, delicious recipe. This one we're doing is called Linguine Vongole, or Linguine alle Vongole. This could also be done with spaghetti alle Vongole. Vongole means clams. So this is basically a clam pasta, and it is extraordinarily simple in this world where everybody tries to get down to 10-minute meals. This is literally a 10-minute meal you're about to see. So when we're talking about simplistic things and simple flavors, this is a great dish, but it'll wow absolutely anybody, and people will think that you spent hours and hours preparing it. So the ingredients for this one are as follows. We have 2 pounds of extremely well-washed manila clams. So I've literally gone through each one of these. I've scrubbed the outside. I've made sure that they're alive. And the way that we can check if they're alive is they should be closed. Any of the ones that are like this, a little bit open, usually they're fine. You can give them a little squeeze. They'll usually close on their own, just like that. If they don't close, if they stay open when you give them a little squeeze like that, it's time to discard them. So it always happens, despite us having fantastic seafood departments, you might get the odd one that dies in there. It might also die in transport. Good idea when you aren't transporting them is to keep them in an open bag. You don't want to suffocate them. And then if you're going to transfer them over and use them later on in the day, a good idea is to rinse them off with some cold water, put a damp cloth, again, not draped completely over top, giving them some room to breathe, and then just put them in your refrigerator, and they should be good in there for about up to a day. The other ingredients in here, we have 3 whole garlic cloves, nice and thinly sliced. We have 6 ounces of dried linguine. We have 1/4 cup of dry white wine. Any white wine will do. Just you want to make sure it's a dry, not a sweet wine. We have 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. And again, if you had a fresh red pepper, I mean a spicy red pepper, that would do as well. We have about 3 to 4 tablespoons of chopped flat leaf parsley or Italian parsley. And then I have 4 tablespoons of oil, of really good extra virgin olive oil. This is the time to spring out your great extra virgin olive oil. I have 3 tablespoons in this and 1 over here, and I'll explain why in a minute. And with that said, we're gonna jump over to the stove and get started on the next step. Okay, so what we've got here is a pot of water, rolling boil, as you can see, and I've already salted that, so pretty heavily salt in there. Again, we want it to taste like seawater, and then to that I'm going to add my linguine. And again, if you haven't seen my previous video, if you want to splay your pasta, especially stick pasta, out, you give it a little twist like this as you're entering, and then look at that. Oh, it actually didn't work that well, but normally it works a little better. We'll fix that, don't worry. So then, I've already got my pan over here preheated, and this is how fast this all happens, is essentially, you're gonna see me, I'm going to quickly stir this, just so that gets all in the water. Then I'm gonna turn my attention over here. So I have my 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. That's gonna go into a preheated pan. And all we're gonna do here is we are gonna toss our garlic in. And we want our garlic to basically saute for about 30 seconds to release that nice flavor, the nice smell in that garlic. We do not want this to burn or brown really in any way at all. So 30 seconds might even be a little bit liberal on that one. We want to just get that cooking. Now you can see it just starting to brown a tiny bit in a couple of spots there. So I'm gonna throw in my chili flakes next, my 1/4 teaspoon of chili flakes. And if you feel like it's going a little bit too fast, that's always the solution. Just pull it off the heat. You don't need to keep it on the direct heat the entire time, but in this case, we're doing okay. We got a little bit of golden brown, nothing crazy. Oh, and that smell is unbelievable. Chili and garlic in there. And to that, we are literally going to add our wine first, our 1/4 cup of wine. And you're gonna see that sizzle, so just be careful. And we're gonna let that, reduce a tiny bit, just come together like so. And to that, we're gonna add our 2 pounds of clams. And then we're gonna lid this. So once that's started to boil just like that, we're gonna pop a nice oversized lid on top, and we're gonna see you in about 4 minutes on that one. Okay, so we're 4 minutes into this process. 4 minutes in, a little bit over 4 minutes, or about 5 minutes. Actually closer to 6, on the pasta over here, and this pasta is done. So according to the package instructions, I should have explained that first. This one's about 8 minutes for cooking time. We want to cook this one until it's about 3/4 done, so that's at about 6 minutes. So again, I've showed this in another video. We want to take out one noodle, we want to break it, and we want to look inside, and we're looking for that little white speck right there in there. So this is actually done, and most importantly when it comes to this, we're going to reserve some of the pasta liquid. It's always better to reserve a bit more than you need. So the recipe calls for 1/2 cup. I'm going to reserve a full cup or thereabouts. I'm just gonna leave that off to the side. Then I'm gonna drain my pasta. So I'm gonna do this, drain this over here. And we're quickly going to check on our clams as well. So at 4 minutes, again, now we're a little over 4 minutes, we're about 5 minutes-ish. We're gonna quickly check it out. So the vast majority of these have already opened. We're on track, we're doing great, nothing wrong, but they do need a couple of more minutes for these. So I might actually stir those ones into the center and do that. We're gonna aim to also pull out the ones that are starting to be done. So I'm just gonna do that really quickly, and I'm gonna pull those actually into this bowl that I had designed for my pasta. We're just gonna pull these out right now. As they're finished, so that they don't overcook. We want these to be literally just cooked, and that'll also give the others that haven't opened time to continue cooking. And I probably should have mentioned this when I was talking about the dead ones versus live ones, but at this point, if we get another, let's say minute and a half from this point right here, and any of them have not opened, it's time to discard those as well. So don't feel bad if you have to waste a couple. We all don't want to waste any, but occasionally you might have to throw out a couple. So we'll see you back here in 2 minutes. Okay, so I've been pulling out a couple as we've gone along here. About 2 more minutes, 3 more minutes has passed since we last spoke. So everything's open, except this one. That's okay. For another day. Well, no, not for another day, but anyway. That one just didn't work. So everything else opened up. That's great. We've got that. Now we've got our beautiful sauce. Do not, obviously, throw that away. The next thing that we're going to do is we are going to add, I'm only going to start with a little bit. There's quite a bit of liquid in the bottom here, so the recipe does call for half, but it really depends on how much your clams actually release. Basically what I did there, so I added my pasta water. I'm going to allow it to start thickening up a tiny bit and to emulsify. That should take no more than about 30 to 40 seconds. You'll see it start to come together and thicken up a tiny bit. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add our pasta. We are going to add our clams back in, like so. We're going to keep that heat nice and high. We're going to toss to coat. Don't spill things all over the bottom. So about 1 minute later, it's all come back up nicely. We've got everything bubbling away in the bottom there. We're done. That's it, honestly. Nice and thickened, not too thick. And we're gonna transfer this very carefully over. I'm just gonna do half a portion in the actual bowl itself because this is a 2-portion meal. So what we wanna do, grab as much of that as we can. Couple of clams on top, all around. And then I'm gonna garnish with some flat leaf parsley on top. And that remaining olive oil that we talked about before, the 1 tablespoon of olive oil, I'm just gonna give it a quick drizzle over top. And there you are, linguine alle vongole, or linguine with clams. Give it a try.